Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas from fascinating sources. Today, we're digging into the book Homo Modellus by Kang-Shin Chul, and it has a huge idea at its core, that pretty much everything humanity has ever created, from art to science to, well, anything, it all comes from this one single deep-down human instinct.
So, let's just dive right in with a bit of a puzzle. Take a look at these three things: a complex scientific formula, a super detailed architect's blueprint, and a simple drawing by a kid. On the surface, they seem like they're from different planets. But what's the common thread? What really connects them?
The answer, it turns out, is incredibly simple, but also really profound. Every single one of them is a model. They're all attempts to grab a piece of reality and just make sense of it. Sure, they look totally different, but they all come from the exact same impulse we all have.
And its impulse, it's not just about making a perfect copy of something. No, it's about taking the world, which is messy and complicated, and boiling it down to what really matters. We build models to get a handle on things, and once we get a handle on them, well, that's when we get the power to actually change them. And that, right there, is the huge idea from our source. The author gives this incredible drive a name, Homo Modellus, or the modeling human. The book's whole argument is that this unique ability, this need to create models, is what truly makes us human. So what does it actually mean to be a Homo Modellus? To really get it, we kind of have to hit reset on what we think the word model even means. You know, we usually think of a model as something like a little toy airplane, right? A physical copy. But the book pushes us way beyond that. A model is any representation of reality that's been simplified for a reason. It's all about capturing the essence of a thing, not just what it looks like on the surface. And this brings us to the act of modeling. It's not passive, it's a totally creative process. It all starts inside our heads, where we dream up all these different mental images. Then comes the really important part. We have to select what we think is the best version of that idea, and then we have to pick the optimal way to express it, whether that's with words, paint, computer code, you name it.
Okay, so if modeling is our engine for creation, how does that engine actually run? What are the moving parts?
Now, this diagram from the book gives us the whole blueprint. Don't worry about reading all the text for now, just focus on the flow. You can see how something from the outside world gets pulled into our own minds, gets processed, and then comes back out through our tools as a finished model. It's a whole system from just seeing something to actually creating something.
And it all boils down to these three key players. First, there's the subject. That's you. You're the one with the vision. Then you have the object. That's the thing out there in the world you're trying to capture. And finally, the media. Those are the tools you use to make it real. A really great model is what happens when those three things are working together in perfect sync.
And what's really cool is how our view of ourselves as the subject, as the creator, has completely changed over time. For ages, we saw ourselves as just imitators, trying to make a fuzzy copy of some perfect reality we couldn't even see. Then, the Enlightenment comes along, and suddenly, we're designers, using reason to organize the world. And now we see ourselves as creators, inventing brand new meanings out of thin air. So this brings up a really fascinating question, right? How does our brain actually do this? How does it take some raw thing from the world and turn it into this elegant, structured model?
Well, the book lays out this incredible map of what it calls the cognitive factory inside our heads. And again, let's just look at the overall flow. You can see the information moves from left to right, from the raw thing itself through all these internal processing stations in our brain, and finally comes out the other side as a finished model. It's basically a three-step assembly line. First up is sensation. All this raw data comes flooding in through our senses, and it's immediately colored with feeling. Next comes understanding. Our brain gets to work, sorting all that chaos into recognizable patterns and ideas. And finally, there's reason. We take what we now understand and use it to imagine, to connect dots, and to build that final mental blueprint for our model.
So, let's get to the bottom line. Why does any of this actually matter? What's the real-world power of being a good modeler? Well, it turns out it touches almost every single part of our lives.
On a practical level, modeling is basically a superpower. I mean, think about a subway map. It looks nothing like the real city, right? But it's a perfect model for getting around. It takes something super complex and makes it simple. Or what about a flight simulator? It's a model that lets pilots manage huge risks. They can crash 1,000 times and walk away without a scratch. Modeling is how we learn, how we innovate, and how we do it safely.
But the power of this goes way deeper than just being efficient.
The actual feeling of creating something, of taking a messy idea that's stuck in your head and giving it form and structure in the real world, that is a huge source of genuine fulfillment. It's a type of happiness you just can't get by just consuming things.
And hey, this isn't just some nice, feel-good idea. It lines up perfectly with what modern psychology tells us about living a good life. In the famous PERMA model for well-being, two of the absolute cornerstones of a happy life are meaning and accomplishment. In modeling, it's a direct pipeline to both. It gives us a sense of purpose and the deep satisfaction of having achieved something real.
So, the big takeaway from all this is that you're already a model maker. We all are. It's baked into our DNA as human beings. And just knowing that, just seeing yourself that way, is incredibly empowering. Which really just leaves us with one last, very exciting question. What part of the world will you choose to model next?